Ming Talks.
Es ist Zeit, den in Bosnien und Herzegowina gestrandeten Menschen zu helfen.
Ein Mikrofon, Danny.
Das ist ein Aufruf an die bosnisch-herzegowinische, kroatische und gesamteuropäische Öffentlichkeit.
Good evening and welcome to evening with Mingra Talks, Commitment, Experiences and Memory Practice, organized from Balkanet, a forum for culture, art and science from and on Southeast Europe. Today's evening theme is Balkanroute. We have guests from Europe, from different countries of Europe. And this talk and discussion will be in English. And I will say a few words about our guests. Those are Nijara Ahmetašević, a journalist, independent researcher and activist from Sarajevo. Gorana Mlinarević, an independent researcher from Sarajevo. Viviane Rau, SOS Balkanroute activist and international development student from Vienna. Jasmina Music, an actress, performer, writer from Bosnia-Herzegovina, who lives in Cologne, Germany. And Paula from AK49, a Munich political collective currently in Bosnia. And moderated by me, Denian Pavljević, and who writes prose and scenic texts for theater and film, based in Munich, and Asmir Šabić, musician and cultural worker, also based in Munich. Paula came 2 days ago to, to our project, so I have no informations about her, so maybe she could start and say a few words about her biography and also about AK49 and projects they made.
Hi, yeah, this is Paula. Thank you for the invitation. There's one little mistake. I'm not in Bosnia right now.
Also,
I'm in Vienna. Members of my political group of the collective there in Bosnia. But unfortunately, they couldn't participate today. That's why I'm here. I'm in Vienna, but I'm originally from Munich and therefore part of the collective AK49. And yeah, we are an open political collective, and we deal with issues around the causes and the consequences of war. And we stand in solidarity with refugees and people fleeing their homes. And we particularly advocate for the rights of people with disabilities or other vulnerable people. And also one important part of our collective is the focus on Munich or Bavaria. And we draw attention to the connections between the influence of German or Munich or Bavarian actors from business or politicals in relation to violent conflicts and oppressive structures worldwide. Yeah, so we don't want to live in a city, in a region where, for example, businesses profit from war. That's kind of our topics.
Can you say tell us something?
Oh. your microphone.
Can you tell us about something about your personal involvement in this issue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as I said, I'm from Munich and part of the collective, but at the same time I study international development, just like Vivi, and we are also good friends, and that's how the kind of the connection happened. That's how it all happened. Three good friends of mine, one of them Vivi, they went to Velika Kladuša in October, and so to support SOS Balkanroute, and that is based in Vienna. And yeah, I was in contact with them and phoned with them from time to time, and they told me about their experiences. And so I got more and more involved, and also then I shared the experiences from my friends, from Vivi, for example, with my collective in Munich, and told them about it. And so after a while, we decided to not do another transport to Greece as it was originally planned, but to change the plan and do another transport and activities concerning the situation in at the border at Bosnia and Croatia. That's kind of how it developed, my personal involvement.
Speaking about connection between you and Vivian, maybe we can go on with Vivian. Maybe you can tell us more about your involvement in this.
Yes. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. Yes, Paula already introduced me quite well. Last October, I drove together with 4 friends of mine to Bosnia, and it was my first day as a volunteer. I've been there before as a tourist and as a researcher also. But that time we drove there as volunteers, and we were there to support SOS Balkanroute. We were at that time not officially part of SOS Balkanroute, only afterwards, but we draw on their networks and their contacts there, and they had established kind of a field kitchen there, and they were cooking for 300 refugees a day in Velika Kladuša. Velika Kladuša is a small town right at the Croatian-Bosnian border, and we kind of continued their cooking project there, and we had a small medics team who went into the so-called squats. Like, squats are the places where refugees used to live when they have no access to the official camps. And we went there for doing this medical treatments, and also providing them with all the all those things they need, like clothes and food, whatever. And this was my first day, and during Christmas and New Year's Eve, I've been there now for the second time, and that time was very much dominated by the events in Lipa. I guess everyone maybe heard about it. There was quite a great media attention concerning the events in Lipa, the camp which was set on fire. Yes, since I'm now back, there's also a lot of work to do. SOS Balkanroute is both engaged in the first aid, humanitarian aid, right at the spot, and also in political activism. And right now I focus, as I'm not there anymore, I focus on political activism. But nevertheless, there's a team of 6 to 10 people always being there in Kladuša, helping right at the spot. Yes, but I have the feeling that the political involvement and political activism gets even more important after you have such an incident as Lipa, as you have this little spot of media attention, which you can, which we already do right now, use to broaden the horizon and go from this peak of the ice mountain, I don't know how you say it in English, but you can use this incident to tell the whole story, because it's way more than Lipa, but I guess we will talk about it later on. Yes, but this is how I am involved, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Jetzt the same question go to Jasmina auch.
Hello to all of you. Thank you for the invitation. Actually, I'm an actress, what you told, performing, and I'm always I was born in Bosnia-Herzegovina. I was Prader, and so I survived the civil war and the genocide and grew up here. And in my performances, which I do solo or like in theaters I work, for example at Maxim Gorki Theater, I really research a lot about how the star generation, how can we talk it, even what is my responsibility, and that thing I really use in my work, even to show the vulnerability in throughout the content of arts and how to break the silence in general. I'm also part of one performance collective. We are called Her Story, so we're trying really to aim or to frame the point of women and women in general, and like to empower. And actually I was really again triggered because many people here in Germany or in the whole of Europe went through this refugee camps, and we all went through this Balkan tour, and I was really shocked and sad about what I saw. And it's really difficult to see people, I don't care about the nationality, and to see 10 or 20 degrees in snow, and it really breaks my heart. And then even to see this injured by the Croatian police with pushbacks, and it was really disturbing to me to really not seeing this in the newspaper, not even, at least in German public discussions. And we always talking about how Europe and EU is like human, and we have this dignity, and we will really take care of each other. And again, after 25 years, I see pictures which are not acceptable. And that's why with Lida Bremer, I called her, I said, we have really to say something, but at least we artists, or I'm an actress, she is also a writer, so we really research a lot. And then it really was amazing, all these reactions we get. So that's how I'm involved in all of this.
And you, Nijara, maybe you can tell us something about your involvement.
You react after I wrote this, but it must be wrong connection, because I heard that somebody is talking about civil war that never happened in Bosnia, but probably I lost connection because there was no civil war, but aggression and genocide, and that's established by the ICTY, so pretty sure. So as you can see, I'm a journalist, pretty vocal, very ready to talk openly about the things happening in Bosnia and Europe. I'm on the route, Balkanroute, as a researcher and journalist, but also just to be a witness of this, what's happening since 2015 and I have been in different countries along the route and visited a couple of places in European Union where I met with the refugees who survived the Balkanroute and arrived to the heaven of European Union. And I still live on the other side, behind the border. Heaven is still far away from me. And from my point of view, everything is going into a very wrong direction. And I hope we can find a way to talk not only about this. I have to say, this was happening in Lipa is not the first time. It's happening for many years all over the Balkans, and it is not any bigger crisis than any of the crises that happened so far. As a journalist, I'm researching and writing about war crimes, the process of the facing with the past, human rights in general, for over 25 years now. And I'm doing that for the local media as well as for the international. I'm not part of any collective, I'm not part of any group, but I have to say that I'm very proud to stand together with Solidarians here in Bosnia. 95% of them are women, and we are here to witness about what's happening on the Balkanroute and to show our solidarity to all the people who are coming to our country, at least. We are doing our best, even though it's very difficult, I have to say, but as a Solidarians, as other witnesses, I think that we are doing maximum of what is possible in the circumstances that we are living at the moment.
I would like to hear also a few words from Gorana, the only person at this moment from all of us being in Bosnia at the moment.
No, Nijara is
I'm in Bosnia.
Both of us are in Sarajevo. Both of us are in Sarajevo. So
living in the same municipality.
We're not far from each other, so I'm, as Nijara said, I'm not going to repeat many things. I'm kind of active with Nijara. I have been working, it's really hard to say working, being activist with Nijara in relation to the quite lots of issues regarding dealing with the past and war consequences, war crimes especially, since 20-25 years, but as well kind of addressing the issues affecting post-war Bosnia, especially questions regarding so-called transition, because the transition wasn't ever from war to peace, but was actually really from different political systems, and it was more oriented towards creating the liberal peace, neoliberal peace than anything else. So that was one part of our joint work, but involved as a matter of solidarity, witnessing human rights violations on the Balkanroute since the, I guess, increase of the people, since it became more visible since 2015. We need to note that it wasn't, this Balkanroute is nothing new, and it's been present for now, since the end of the war, but even we were part of the migration during the war, but after the war finished, people actually did use Balkan to cross and come to the Europe. So I'm probably more involved with witnessing violations since 2015, because it got more visible, and since 2018, since it was actually more of Bosnia was more kind of prominently put in attention, and people that are using that have been forced to go and use Bosnia as a route. So yeah, I guess what another thing that I really want to stress is that this is just a part of the narrative we are living. So it's coming from Bosnia, living in Bosnia, solidarity with people crossing or trying to even stay in Bosnia is part of the life we live. And it's a part of the post-war life we have been living for 25 years.
Mm-hmm. But do you think it's more visible now than 2015?
How do you mean? We are talking about people on the move. People were in 2015. The route was actually different, and while the corridors were open, and that meaning the use of the organized transportation into the Western countries, that was a different route. Bosnia wasn't as much used. People did cross Bosnia, but not in numbers that they are now. And the second thing is that Bosnia And the geography of Bosnia, it's a mountains, it's really hard terrain that people have to use to cross. So more and more people started coming through Bosnia because of the closure of borders and violence in the borders between Hungary and Serbia, and then between Serbia and Croatia. So as the violence kind of increased in these regions, people were forced to actually shift to Bosnia. And I mean, as violence has been present, let us be honest, violence has been present throughout. Before the corridors were opened, I mean, corridors were open only once it actually kind of, the attention was put on the Syrian refugees, but violence was present at that time as well. Then when the so-called corridors opened, it was violent because it was militarized. I mean, it was violent, but at least people were crossing easier and not kind of starving to death. Once the borders closed, violence increased again. So it is more about violence, and violence is shifting the routes than anything else.
Nijara, what do you think about?
I don't know whether Nijara can actually add something more about this then. I mean, because I just kind of focus more on violence, but there are other issues as well.
Yeah, I would be interested to hear what Nijara has to say also about what is the difference between 2015 and today.
The difference is in 2015 I became part of one of the biggest groups at that moment called IU Series, and for us it was important to establish the info channel and to kind of like serve as a bridge for all the people who are on the route, and to send information that we could collect, and that people who were moving through the route, but also the Solidarians sometimes couldn't really find the time to do that. So we focused a lot on that, and it was much easier. It was much less violent. The roads were in a way open, organized, and people, especially in the Balkans, were more, there was less political propaganda, because I think all the European institutions, EU institutions present in the region, they still didn't really find a way, and they still really didn't think about propaganda and about how everything will develop. But we could follow, and I was present in the field more or less, we could follow how the things are changing and how the things are going into the different direction. As a moment that I see until today, which change everything, of course, first the border was closed at the Greek-Macedonian side, and it was closed with the help of the EU, Frontex, and IOM, which suddenly has a very important role in closing the routes and doing everything that is happening around us. But the crucial moment, I think, was the death, murder, I have to say, of Madina Husseini in Shid. She was pushed back. The Afghan family, they were traveling, and in one of their attempts on their way from Shid to Croatia, they were pushed back by Croatian border police, forced to cross the trail, train tracks in between two countries. Medina was 6. The rest of the family did find a way to do it fast. Medina slipped, and the train came, and the train killed her. Practically, the EU police killed her the moment when they pushed her. And I think that moment kind of like sent a message to everybody that it is scary, that this violence is not something that will pass. This violence is much more dangerous than it looked like, because if the EU is ready to kill the children, they will kill anybody. And it happened sometimes in November 2017. In December the same year, the asylum center close to Sarajevo in Delijaš received the first 100 asylum seekers. They almost came at the same time. By chance, I was in Šid approximately at that time, and I was also with Madina's family and following all what is happening there. And all the boys I met in Šid, living in the squats, came together to Sarajevo. And they were the ones who were in asylum center and who called me to come and meet after they left that asylum center, which was not the place where a human being can live, because it's far away in the mountains. It's built by European Union also. And since then, everything started changing drastically. Violence at the EU borders, not only Hungary and Croatia, but also Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, increased, as well as violence and pushbacks which are happening from the Balkans or inside of the Balkans. So practically at this moment, you have people, police and different organizations, including Frontex that is in the region present, playing ping pong with people. So they are just sending them from this country to that country, hoping that they will leave and hoping that the conditions and the living conditions created for them will force them to go back home. And IOM at the moment, before it was 500 euros, at the moment, IOM is giving more than 1,500 euros to every single person who wants to go back, which is quite a lot. If you are from Pakistan, or basically they're paying them to go back. And first they force them while making conditions that are not.
About a question for you all involved about the fact that EU is talking about that we are giving money to, in this case, for example, for facilities and.
Sorry, can I say something? Just short. Do you hear me? Because there had been some kind of problems with the sound. I don't know what kind of misunderstanding was here in this place. I just want to say something, please. And regarding to a comment here, actually, I'm from Prijedor, and I know what the genocide is. So again, I just want to say there was a genocide also in Srebrenica, not to mix it up with any kind of civil war, but I have to say in the perspective of from Germany, like people say generally about the Balkan wars, to make it up. And I just wanted to say in my family even are many deaf people. So be aware what you say, just to, yes, to make this clear, because sometimes it's really hurting feelings, yeah? So even we have to really start a conversation which is really sensible to us. Thank you.
Okay, may I just maybe have some small part, because maybe we don't understand what happens. I would try, if we can, just to open our mics, so maybe we can be better to come inside of the conversations. And there is a lot of topics in this. Yeah, we opened so many subjects, and that's actually the complexity of all this what happens. And I think it's very important that this conversation is there. I think what I heard was what we had now was this what also Nijara was saying about civil war in Bosnia, which was so understood during this speak. I don't know who was the one who said it, but I didn't hear it like this. So I didn't hear anyone is talking about
I think we can move
denying genocide.
From here, if we can. So, I didn't even say that. I warned about wrong terminology.
I just want to say.
I think we are talking about something different.
Yes.
I mean, I live in Bosnia still.
Sorry, can I just say? I just want to make clear there is no misunderstanding. It's clear.
Yeah.
Just okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so if it would be nice, just if we want to open our mics and then we like really make some kind of this kind of conversation, which is good, and we respect the time of everyone anyway, and just go inside of the conversation when we are there. If I would just say just a bit to put this in perspective, the Mingra talks was the idea of Balkanet is a small organization in Munich, and our idea is actually we all, all people who are in Munich and who are like have this kind of we say international background. They bring their stories, they bring their like Yasmina was saying, we all have some kind of stories behind us, and our idea was to. Of course, to talk about the stories, to send them also inside of our communities, and that people know that sometimes when we are sad or when we have some kind of something that maybe somebody doesn't know why we are so stressed, that it's not because of anything which is around us, but maybe because of some our own history we are carrying with us, and it's not known. Yeah, so it's the memory culture, let's say, which we try in this kind of way to support and to bring it into our community. So and what I was thinking, it's a really good connection, which I see. Maybe it would be nice to hear from the point of like we are in the European Union. And there is some political activism which is done. So maybe this can be a good point to talk about what are these movements which are happening, like AK-49, like SOS Balkanroute. You said, Vivian, you said also you would like to involve yourself, or you are involving yourself in the political, or you think that's more these political strategies which are more important now, which I personally also think it's better than humanitarian, because I was also in the war, during the war, and I had this feeling of we get in the war, we get always this kind of humanitarian packages, and if the European humanitarianism is really just this, and then we are not human, let's say like this. So maybe we open this kind of story about, or you can say something about the engagement and what do we think, or what can we do? Jara is out. Okay.
Yeah, that was also the question I wanted to ask. Everything is also everybody about EU saying, okay, we give money and you should do everything you can, and we're not really involved in the thing. That's also the thing was bothering me about this issue.
And maybe I can just, I don't know if I have a proper answer, but this discussion we are starting to have right now is very much bothering me during the work I do, because of course we have those two pillars. We have humanitarian aid on the one side and we have political activism on the other side. And it for me, it makes no sense to outweigh or to say the one is the better or the more necessary one, but we have to find a way to connect both in a meaningful way. I mean, every one of us, I guess, knows somehow how the situation is for the refugees being stuck in this place there at the border. We know that it's not a human condition, or not at all human conditions, and they are suffering a lot. So we know we have to find a way to relieve, to just provide them with the basic necessities they need. But on the other hand, we know that in the long run, there won't be any improvement at all if we don't change the system behind it. And I think that's something we as an NGO, or we have, as Balkanroute, we always have this struggle between those two pillars. And for me, one of the most constructive ways to trying to tackle this issue is to trying to make the people aware of the complexity of things. We should always, when we provide people, like let's say in Lipa, for example, we had this the situation that in Lipa there were 1,000 people from one day to the other without any shelter, without food, without anything. It was minus degrees and it was snowing. So what do we do as an international organization? Of course, we're trying to collect as many resources as we have and provide them with everything we can, which in reality is not that easy, of course. And in the end, we work together with the Red Cross. But of course, we always have to reflect on our position. We for sure don't want to support a system with which is putting people in a place like Lipa and saying this is a place for people to live. It's not. It will never be. So we were doing something in that moment which we actually don't want to support. But it's a very challenging question, and I try always to focus on the things I can control. And the moment I am in the EU and an EU citizen in Austria or in Germany, I have to focus on the things I can control, which is maybe political activism, and there's a lot of work to do. And one thing, maybe because we were just starting this discussion right now with very emotional topics, for many people, we have to face this fact. For many people in Germany, the Balkan and the situation at the border is something like a black spot on the European map. They have no idea. They have not even an idea about the Balkan wars or anything. And we have to. This is very good connected to the refugee crisis. We have to we have to tell the stories about the Balkan, and we have to tell the stories about the refugees. Make people aware of both, and only then we can understand the complexity behind all the things.
Yeah, I think that's also the problem that Balkans. It's, for example, for people in Munich, is much nearer than Amsterdam, you know. But you think when you speak with people in Munich about Balkans, they don't know anything about Balkan. You think they know there was a war there and there's the Adriatic Sea, but that's where the story ends. You have a feeling that Balkans, it's like on some other continent, and the people in Munich and in Germany have to know more about that region, which is very important. It's like EU in small, so to say.
Yes, and this is something I really figured out after discussing it a lot with friends of mine and other activists, is that we want to have a shared feeling of solidarity within the EU, but not only within the EU, but also with the whole Europe, like in the best case, of course, with every human being. But we want to expand this European so-called solidarity to the whole Europe. And we can only achieve this once we do and live this in our daily life and daily practice, confronting every human being we see with solidarity and empathy and understanding. And unless we don't live this solidarity in our daily practice, we won't change the system.
Yeah, just one. Well, if I can ask also, maybe Gorana can tell us, because there is this kind of motion, or this kind of, what you say also, Vivian, there is this kind of, I think, also some kind of conflict between that a lot of people are talking about Bosnia, doing something in Bosnia or in the Balkan, but they don't know about it. There is so many also studies which are did from European side, which you can. We had last time in Migra talks, we had Armina Galiash here, who is a teacher in Graz, professor on studies, and she showed us on Google search, on Google study. She showed us how many studies there is about war in Bosnia, about all the situation and everything which there is, and sometimes it looks very strange, I think, and that's I think the Gorana maybe can say more how it feels to have this kind of people who want to, let's say, to do the best and have a very open-minded think, you know, but you as someone who are there and know all of this somehow see that a bit naive, and sometimes it's maybe counterproductive because it doesn't really keep reality as it is. I don't know, maybe Gorana can.
There are several levels to that question. One question and one experience is I've been subject of research for like 25 years now. Certainly asked so many questions and wasted so much time on different researches for different purposes. But this is, it really is colonialism / production is quite Orientalist. And we haven't moved for the last 25 years on that. We are not subjects or agents of our own destiny, but we are just projected as someone to be researched. I mean, it's a classical colonial narrative. And with the Dayton, which is actually establishing colonial rule in the country, it's quite, and I mean, the Dayton, which is highly problematic because portrays war as an ethnic war and civil war, but it was actually, as Najara said, aggression and genocide, and not recognizing that as much. We are struggling with 25 years of dealing with the past, combined with the colonialism and combined with not listening to people, really. We haven't had, I mean, we were imposed the constitution. We never were asked actually about whether we want to live in such a country. So it's the same now. When we are talking about refugees, everyone is ignoring. I mean, we keep having international goodwillers coming to Bosnia, without actually really considering that they are intervening in space in Bosnia as well. They are doing political interventions in Bosnia. Not only kind of, there is ignorance, entire ignorance as to what is happening on the political level in Bosnia. So it is easy to blame Bosnian government, and because it's projected that Bosnian government somehow has received 100 million euros, but it never actually did, because it's an international organization, IOM, that got it. So it is easy to kind of pretend how Bosnian people are racist now, but it's not really looking into how the dynamics are actually coming around Bosnia. I mean, the political dynamics in Bosnia. Don't forget that EU is quite a big player in Bosnia, decision maker in Bosnia. So quite a lot of things that are done in Bosnia are actually decided already by EU. So we are, I mean, and if you are looking into the new migration pact that EU has adopted, and they talk about the hotspots, processing countries and everything, it's actually with a picture of Bosnia, because what they did is, first of all, made ethno-nationalist elites fighting for the territories among themselves, so that we are, I mean, they made made sure that the country is dysfunctional. And problem with political activism now in Europe is not communicated with people on the ground, with activists on the ground. I'm not talking about politicians, because we are, I mean, the politicians in Bosnia, as much as the entire administrative establishment of the all international organization in combination with that, the nationalists in Bosnia, is completely corrupt. So what we are talking about is talking about communicating. We can't really talk about Bosnia without communicating with people in Bosnia. 3 years ago, we had international volunteers coming and said, well, we are not doing politics, we are just feeding, like we are cooking the rice and giving it to people. No, once you actually come to Bosnia, you are intervening. The stories about expulsions, like, because quite lots of international volunteers like to make the stories about themselves. Expulsions actually happened to the people from EU because they just couldn't be bothered registering and following the rules in Bosnia. Ignoring kind of, again, I'm not justifying the government. I'm quite heavily critical about government in Bosnia, but it is a complex state that needs to be understood in order to kind of intervene. And it really is kind of tricky talking about Bosnia outside of Bosnia without actually being, having connections with Bosnian activists. And I'm actually insisting on Bosnian political activists because that's a different narrative from the one projected by ethno-nationalist elites.
But if I can just one small, but maybe Vivian and Paula, you can also, and Yasmina, you can also get in. No, it's okay. It's actually, that's what you are talking, because I was now because I was trying to reach some people in Bosnia, and that's how I reach you also, Gorana, and Nijar and all. And I, when I hear from people, from some, because I was just a small digression. I'm since 2008 in Germany. So I was in the war in Bosnia, and we had a lot of activism which we did after the war, and trying to move situation and do work politically and whatever. But that's just to say that I know many people in Bosnia who are engaged also as activists or doing some things, and I tried to really understand what's happening, and it's really a big cacophony there also with activists, like Bosnian activists. I had the feeling some of them don't talk with each other, some of them think that the others are not good, and there is a big problem even for me, who is let's say, who speaks language and has some friends who can say, hey, you know him from there. How it is for this kind of associations like SOS Balkanroute, or like these young people, or this doesn't have to be young, but the people who want to help and coming there, and then being totally how to say, lost somehow, or it's, I don't know, that's like my how I somehow get this feeling of, I don't know, maybe you can say more about this, or it's, you know what I mean?
I can and I can't. Sorry, you can. Paula wanted to say something. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I just I wanted to share our experience. Maybe it's interesting because this is exactly the point that we were thinking about when we started to organize and to plan the donation, transport, and everything that went together with that. So in the beginning, there's the idea, okay, we as a collective, we on the one hand, we think it's really important to increase the political pressure. That's what Vivi said, the two pillars, and we want to increase the pressure so that someday there's political change and the issue is on the agenda, and it becomes a reoccurring topic, and it's not only in the media when camps are on fire. So the long run somehow. And then at the same time, we feel like this is not enough. We want to get more involved. We feel like we are tired of just looking and listening and talking. And we live in such a rich city in Germany, and there must be some way to get more involved and use the money from these rich people here in Munich. Kind of, no, but you know what I mean. So and then of course we start to do the donate, the call for donations, and at the same time we started to get in contact with all the groups and the initiatives that are on ground, and we realized, okay, it's really, really important to talk to the people before you go there and just arrive and say, okay, hey, we are here and we want to change something, or we want to help, because this is like counterproductive.
Yeah.
I don't know the English word.
Counterproductive.
Counterproductive, yeah. And there is more harm than help somehow. And yeah.
But how do? Okay.
Okay. Well, maybe I think Jasmina want to say something about that. You raised the hand. You raised your hand, Jasmina.
I think we have to talk later what happened here about somebody leaving, because I didn't want to hurt anyone with my sentence. Also, I just wanted to explain. Maybe they were hear anything. I can also write a mail or something if I get something wrong. I have and somehow defend myself. But however, I just want to say regarding to you, Paula, the perspective of the Germans, or like which I am, the roots we have in Bosnia, for sure. We have to listen to each other, and I just want to say it's really, in my case, easy because it's a comfort zone. I'm sitting here in one of the richest countries, so we're very privileged. And it's about even my activism, if it's called activism, it's about sharing this privilege with my work. So I just want, regarding to you, to say it's really like, it's hard to see this and not act.
Just to say something. Nijara has some kind of problem with the internet, and she just said that it's it was a misunderstanding between. So I'm sure that nobody who knows anything can deny genocide or everything, but there was some kind of misunderstanding between whatever was said. Nijara is someone who is in human rights issues very inside, and I think she heard that somebody said the civil war. I don't know if it was you, Jasmina, but your connection was not so good, and maybe she just misunderstood it. And I think she knew that she just wanted to put the point on that in Bosnia was not a civil war. And that's it. So it's nothing to make a bigger.
So I just want to make sure, because I don't want to disturb here something. So if I need to apologize, for sure I will. But I don't see regarding to this to apologize, because I just make clear.
You react a bit hard, but it's okay. It's how it happens.
I have to say, okay. I didn't understand what happened, but maybe we can clear it out.
Everybody of us have his own PTSD. I say sometimes it's okay. Sorry. Yes, I don't know. Gorana, you wanted maybe, I don't know.
I want to actually reflect on your comments regarding Bosnian activist chaos, and which we are in. And it's understandable because we have been going through the process of politics of forgetting for 25 years. Because for 25 years we have been kind of subjected to the neoliberal peace building, which kind of, I write quite a lot of that about that, so you can actually read, and hopefully we are going to publish something soon as well on that topic, on the processes that have been engaged with neocolonialism of neoliberal peace, and it is really hard when it's after the war that we been, I mean, brainwashed with the different interventions. We have been in constant phases of reforms for like 25 years. And I don't know what are we reforming from to what. I mean, the word reform is like abused so many times. We do not, I mean, there has been this institutionalization of the ethno-nationalist parties, and we have lived kind of splits of everything. So it's hard, like, and there is a neoliberalism which insists on individualism. So we can't, I mean, it's really hard to form really proper collectives and to function politically on that base. I mean, we have been struggling for the last 25 years. Sometimes we kind of have more progress. If you remember 2014, for example, plenums that kind of went across the country. We had some connections among the activists, but then we had intervention of international community, which decided that we need economic reform. So we, in order to kind of stop the protests, we had interventions from outside. So every single time there is something that we try to do, we are actually squashed not just by nationalists, but also by neoliberal international communities. So it is really hard to struggle there. And I understand that it's hard to find people and communicate, but depends on which local community. I mean, because we are localized, it really is depending on where you are intervening and to what level you are intervening, that you kind of have to, and it's possible to still find people to talk about and political activists in each single area in Bosnia. It's not true that it's not there. And it's, yes, we are working separately, but we are still connected and we talk to each other. We sometimes don't agree with each other necessarily, but again, we do exchange. It's not really just on that. The problem is as well, we are tired. We lived through war. After the war, we lived to, like, we've been living 25 years of something that is not war, but it's not really non-conflict. We keep trying to build something else, but we are not kind of able to do it. So it is really tricky. I mean, I was thinking the other day that when war started, my parents were the same age as I am now. And like that was for them 48 years of thinking about progress, thinking about, like, you know, just progressive lives. For me, it's been since 90s, not, I mean, it's thinking mess all the time. It's not seeing the light, and it's getting worse and worse because interventions are different. Interventions are different, but the situation is worse globally as well. So it's a mixture. So what I'm saying is I wouldn't dismiss local voices because it is important that they are here. Some are mine. I mean, when we talk about humanitarian assistance, some who are connected to humanitarian assistance to the people on the move might not be as political and might not want to talk politics, but there are others that do. I mean, for us, for example, the group that we kind of have in a Facebook group is actually open as well to exchange information, but also to be a political as well, to recognize the problems as well, to name the problems. It is important to talk all the time. And what I keep saying, even humanitarian assistance, and that's another thing. I mean, we've seen that through Bosnia in last 25 years, 30, because we lived off humanitarian assistance during the siege, for example, in Sarajevo. Humanitarian assistance is whitewashing of really, really bad politics, whitewashing of And there is another thing. If we are constantly involved as well, like, you know, there is a money for humanitarian assistance. There is always, the countries always find the money for the humanitarian assistance. If we as individuals spend so much time additionally on humanitarian assistance, we do not have a time to do the politics. Example is Bosnia is, I mean, really, really striking one. We've been, because we've been, I mean, the neoliberal politics have been destroying our health system, healthcare system. We've been curing children on donation.
Gorana, just one, I understand. We are curing the children on the.
But we are releasing the government
SMS.
Responsibility.
On the messages, yeah,
but
I know.
We are releasing the government responsibility. So when you focus on humanitarian aid, you spend so much time on collecting, bringing everything, and don't forget there is 80 million of euros sent by EU to the given to IOM, but IOM is spending the money on everything else. I mean, security that is beating people in the camps. It's spending money on different things, not on direct humanitarian assistance. So. We spend and we get exhausted again collecting food and non-food items to provide for the people and do not have a time to do the politics.
Yeah, that's why
there is that problem. And in the meantime, IOM is spending 80 million euros on security that is beating refugees. They are spending the money on salaries. They are, I mean, you know, they are not providing for psychological, they are spending money on wires, concentration camps. They are spending the money on cameras now, surveillance cameras. That's expensive, and that's as well under the humanitarian assistance. They're spending money on militarizing police and borders. And this is as well under the pretense of being humanitarian assistance.
Yes, but just Gorana, just one thing. Like, we know that, and this is why I think this kind of movements which are happening now in Europe, like Vivian, like Paula, like myself, let's say also I want to do something, but that's the issue.
But that's
how we can learn from Bosnia what we should do,
or how that's why Vivian, for example, is still kind of saying that they are doing parallel work. I mean, the problem is we do not need. I mean, we have to more and more engage in political and leave this the humanitarian politically force IOM to do the job they have a money for.
Yes.
I mean, it's not because when we collect and bring something, we actually are providing excuse for IOM not to work. That's a problem. I mean, you know, I know that it's hard not to provide and collect and come and support, I mean, do the humanitarian assistance, because we kind of feel it's a human nature to support and not look someone that is hungry, that is cold and everything. But we have to force ourselves to organize and push them to actually do their jobs, because otherwise we are.
Can I also, and in this case, talking about involvement, I would also ask, for example, Yasmina, how, for example, artists could, you know, in their way or their possibilities from the EU do something or contribute to the thing.
I just want to say thank you, Gordon, for what you said. It was really brilliant. I just want to say this and to really ask, where's the money? So how can this 80 million be gone? So that is a good question, like we to answer, give this money. And actually, that's when we invent this letter, we were not collecting money. So I think it's very important, like at least we are standing in the public to use our voices, to use any tool. That means newspapers, to have a talk like this, to reflect and really to say to European Unions, the peoples are getting salary for this to do their jobs, because this Bosnia bashing is not acceptable and it's not the fault of the population of Bosnia. So again, like I can just say I'm not an activist. I like political and to talk about politics and also to use this in my arts, but still we have to be good artists. For example, we can do readings. We can really write letters. I think, like, really to not just to see Lieber in this very short time, really to find strategies for a long-term solution.
If I just one small thing, I'm sorry, but I would like to get with Vivian and Paula also inside, and also Danny, because we are, I think, I feel like when some politician in Bosnia is talking in a homophobic way, I feel myself very, very bad, and I'm like, this is someone from my country, even if I don't live there. And how do you feel when we see, let's say the new guy, Mr. Stefanek, who is now from Council of Europe? I just give me a small notice here, who just before a few days was in Miral and Lipa, and he says that these camps that are actually exactly so how Nijara was saying before, actually looking more like a concentration camps, that he comes there and says he's representing Council of Europe, and he says the people have a basic needs. They have water, they have food. How you can feel as a let's say as a citizen of Europe, as somebody who is on this kind of side of helping one another and seeing democracy in something which is not only a basic need to these people, and also seeing this EOM, which has so much money. When you go to the site of the EOM, there is so many strategies, so nice letters that they are still talking about their work in the region, and then you see things like this. What should be our response on this? You know, like someone, they are representing us. They are using our money. I mean. Hard talk.
It's hard talk, yes. I mean, yeah, it's a big anger, it's frustration, it's I feel very much ashamed of the European Union, of my own country, but I came to this point that it's I have to try to use these emotions I have to get it into something productive, and sometimes it's so overwhelming that you don't know what to do anymore. And for me, I think knowledge is power, and we need to make some things clear. When we speak of the responsibility of the European Union, we have to make clear what exactly we mean. Which institutions are responsible? Which institutions are accountable? Which persons do we mean? What's our own role in it? And I mean, everyone needs to know the role of Frontex, what this institution is about, what they are doing. They are committing crimes. It's a European Union institution. We have to know that the Croatian police, border police, for instance, is not per se, like the Croatian people are not per se brutal or I don't know. They are not violent because they are Croats, but they're violent because it's the consequence of the external politics of the European Union. And it doesn't matter if it's a Croatian police border man who stands there, or if it's someone in Serbia or in Bulgaria or in Greece. They all feel this system, and they are the consequence of the system in the moment they use violence. And this all is very academic talk we have here, and we have to break this down in understandable words for people who maybe not so familiar with the European Union politics system and all the things which are interconnected. But that's why that was something which I wanted to say before. I think maybe we can start with making people and everyone in our daily life, be it friends or family or people we are working with, make them keen to deal with crisis. And we are living in times of multiple crises. We have the COVID crisis, we were talking about it earlier on, a capitalist crisis, climate crisis, and refugee crisis. And basically, we need the same character traits and same things to deal with it. We need to be open and educated and know what solidarity means. And as soon as we spread the skills around us, we form a society which is able to deal with these complicated issues. And maybe not everyone has to know explicitly, in detail, how the parliament is built up and which politicians said which thing to the external border and who voted for what. Maybe it's more important that we know our personal role in it and our personal sphere of activism. A long story short, sometimes I feel very overwhelmed, but this moment where I get active again, moving from the inaction to action, I think this trigger moment is something we can activate around us in everything, how we interact with people around us. And this is maybe a little bit more too theoretic, I don't know, but yeah, this is how I deal with it.
We have a question. Sorry, we have from the audience, so to say, from online audience, from Rupert Grund. He asks, Gordana, what about the people that need help right now? They can't wait for politics to change. They need humanitarian assistance. What to do if IOM and others don't step in?
First of all, quite lots of Bosnians, no matter what the portrayal is, I'm witnessing that Bosnians are actually supporting people on the move. It's more hate that you see on the screen that is coming because of the money present in the field. So it's more about that than anything else. So it was media spin more than anything else. It's dehumanizing. So at the moment, I think that it is cold. So, of course, that we organize and support and do humanitarian support the way how we can. Quite a lot of people individually support people on the streets, on the, the camps, we can't really access the camps as much. So we only kind of bring anything that they ask. There is always people that are, there are always people that are involved in humanitarian support and they are not going to engage in political fight ever. But all of us who are actually aware of the political problems have to actually engage and are obliged to engage politically. We can't, of course, as I said before, we can't, it's really hard. We can't see people dying of hunger, of freezing. So yeah, of course you support, but we must insist on on those that are paid for to actually do their jobs. It's not, in Bosnia at the moment, it's not the lack of money, it's the way how this money is actually distributed. It's not the lack of people that, that are on salaries that should be doing something, but instead of beating people. So it is, I kind of think at the moment it's more about political pressure, because don't forget, there is another thing, and media likes really bad pictures. Media only sells when everything, I mean, that's why we kind of have Lipa, but not everything else, because in Lipa there is kind of, there was 1,000 people and 3,000 people are across the streets in Bosnia. So it's not, I mean, because you can't really film 3,000 in a same spot. So it is, and there is a problem of voyeurism and like sort of this pornography of pleasures for us even to watch, to engage in that sense. We have to recognize that part. So, I mean, it is bad. It is terrible. Camps are terrible because camps are the run by IOM are actually concentration camps. I mean, I really think we need a political engagement on like that. That's what is missing more than humanitarian aid. So that's the first thing that I keep saying. I know that it sounds harsh, but the problem, I mean, I use the example of the children, curing the children. Of course, you can't resist not to give the money for the children, but the problem is that every humanitarian intervention releases responsibility those that are responsible. Unfortunately, we have to find a way, and it's up to us to actually find a way to force them to do the jobs they are paid for. I mean,
and also if I just because in Bosnia, if we know the structure, there is a big responsibility of European Union, because we have a higher representation which is made like that. So the Constitution of Bosnia, and we have since 25 years. We have big organizations, like big international organizations, which have all their resources on the field, like OSCE, like OHR, the UNDP. All these organizations are paid from international communities, different kind of donors. We have also all big foundations there. So for me, it was really hard to see that this is it's not possible to put all these resources and to take care of, I don't know, now it's 8,000 people or at most was 20,000 or something. And that you can say better numbers, I'm sorry, maybe, but like now on the camp, which is done from the money of different international institutions, is planned to be for 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and there is 3,500 people inside. So it's not like exactly this what Gorana is doing. Like they have to do their job.
Can I add?
Yeah.
I think we can agree on the fact that it's not about resources, be it economic resources or personal resources, like the European Union, as well as in Bosnia, the money flows are huge, be it from NGOs or whatever. It's not about resources. If there is a political will and the will of the society too, then we can change something. I'm quite sure about that. And we have to be honest, no one in the European Union, and actually it's the same in Bosnia, wants those people. No one. And that's a fact. And we as Balkanroute, for instance, like during the last weeks, we had a big call for donations, and we were overwhelmed really by the solidarity by the people. It was like we never experienced something like that before. So there is this will of to support, but ask the people also about, like, are you willing to share your personal space with someone? Are you willing to share your education with the people? Are you willing to share your workspace? Are you willing to change your personal life for the people? And not only willing to send some money. I don't want to disrespect their efforts, really, that's not my point, but we really have to ask ourselves the questions, those questions no one wants to ask. Would I take those people? Am I willing to change my personal life? And I think our society is not ready for that. Ours, not Germany's, neither Austrians, no society at all. And so unless there's no change in the way we think, those people will be, as I don't know who said it before, will be like in the middle of a big ping pong game between powers. That's a sad reality.
But that's, I mean, that I would. There are several things that I would actually argue there. One is it's a media spin at the moment, and it's the power, like it's a power games that, I mean, it's a ping pong at the moment that we see. But that's something we kind of, it's a narrative that appeases the masses, but the masses are created because of the, I mean, you mentioned the crisis, but I mean, it is the big political game, and we need to kind of take over the mainstream. And it's not as much as that people are unwilling to share their personal space. It's actually that they are uninformed about. Well, then we are all racist, and let's face it. And then actually, if we are actually going to call everyone out and say, okay, we are all racist and fascists, are we going to recognize that? So, I mean, but that's again politics. It's again talking politics, and we need, I mean, it needs to, that's why it's important to talk about that in the way it's a politics. Again, in the just stupid terminology, Europe is not facing with the big numbers. Migrations have, I mean, let us start from the beginning. We have all been, I mean, our all ancestors, or we are all part of migrations. There have always been migration, world that exists on migrations. So the first thing is, no, migrations are not going to stop, whether we are racist or fascist, or we are willing to share the space, or not willing, we are going to end up sharing it, because that's a factual thing. Migration happened. We cannot stop people. Second thing is, Europe is not facing big numbers. It's a lie. In Bosnia, there was never more than 10,000 people at the same time. When we talk about million plus to, when you actually look into the numbers in Africa in movement, in Asia, numbers in movement, people in Americas, people in movement, that's a different story. So, the problem is that the politics at the moment, and the politics of Fortress Europe that have been built on have been built on consumerism and neoliberal capitalism for the last 20 years, like openly, like it's our, for first thing, let's be open. Do not even talk about military, but let's all talk about our computers, our mobiles, because of our consumerism and our commodification and wanting to change the mobiles every single year, we are actually participating in pushing out people from their countries. So once we actually start talking about that, oh, you don't want to share a personal space, so do you want a technology? Do you want?
Gordana, but there is a movement. Also, there is a lot of movements and a lot of talk about this in society.
But that's what I'm just saying, in a sense, when we say it's, they don't want to share personal, but then educate them. Then let us ask. If Canon could actually spill all the rubbish they did, like for the last 5 years with fake news and everything, we can actually do the other way around and actually start talking to people. If they say that they don't want to share space with someone, call them racist, because that's a racism. And the second thing is, okay, let's be honest. Do you want your technology? Do you want your, we have to be open and we have to talk about it.
That's why we are here.
And that's a politics. It's everyday politics. It doesn't need to be high level and academic or whatever. It's my or anyone else's task to actually talk to every single person about it. I do that every single day.
Paula, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to add something. because I think what you just said, Ghana, is really important. And this is one thing that I'm often think about, because it would be so important for people to understand how we as citizens living in Europe or in European countries, for example, or people from the global north are directly have, like, our lifestyle, for example, has directly something to do with the oppression of other people and other countries. And what you said about QAnon and all these movements that have really a lot of people listening to them, it would be a pleasure, and it would be really nice to make it possible that people listen to these complex and really difficult interconnections and explanations as well. But the problem is that right-wing movements or QAnon, they have like simple explanations for really difficult things happening on this planet, let's say, like that. And our explanations, or this is like much more complex, and people are not willing to listen to that, or it's really hard to break it down and say, okay, the fact that you're using your cell phone and you want to have a new cell phone each and every year is has something directly to do with people being pushed out of their countries, because there are some resources that needs to be used for richer countries, richer people. And but I agree. I always think like we need to explain, and we need people to listen how this has to do something with yourself. But this takes a lot of energy, and I don't know. I don't have. I wish I would have more energy to explain it to a lot of people,
but
to talk to them.
As I understood from Asmir, maybe you have something to show us some kind of a clip or something. Did I understand that right, Asmir?
Yeah, but I don't think it's on this subject that we are now talking. It was I think you sent me the clip about the pushback story from or you, Vivian. I don't know, some Vivian or Paula. You sent me a story about pushback. The one person from Afghanistan, I think.
Yes, but that's on.
Yeah, but that's not now the. No. It's not.
I think we are very much on the same page, actually.
Yes.
It's about our imperial mode of living we have in everywhere, actually. And education is key, definitely. That's actually everything in a nutshell. But I don't know if to focus more on these meta topics, because for me personally they are the most important topics to discuss. But I don't know if maybe the audience, I don't know, is also interested in more. I don't know.
We are our audience, as we are there for us, and we talk about our subjects. And if somebody wants to hear it, it's. But I think Yasmina is waving, but I don't want to.
Sorry.
I just want to say something I know it's complex, and even when we wrote this letter, many people were asking me, or like all of us, where's the solution? Is there any solution? And I want to say to the comment on what Gorana said, maybe really to reflect, because I'm an artist. So can you give me some advice, at least? What do you think arts can do? So maybe that would be interesting for me. Like, do you have, because you're very into the subject and very reflective, everyone is here in the subject for sure. So what do you think, what do we need more? What does art can create in this context?
That was for me.
to Gorana maybe, or for someone? Because we need to
I
talk,
just
so
have to say, speaking about Asma, because I think he has to say something about that and to show us first.
I saw, yeah. Okay, this story, which it was also some kind of point for me to get involved. I do think that the media is a way to reach people, to give them some kind of information, to try to provoke them to discuss about subjects, to try to provoke their way of thinking. So I know, I hear about this initiative, which was it's a time, and I was contacting then Yasmina because I like it. I said, okay, if I can do something, I can do it, or I try. And I did small with a friend of mine, Niels. He is also in a Balkanet. We did small video. We can let it now to play. And I think that's the way. So I have also projects which are talking about Srebrenica, about Rwanda, about genocide. I have projects which talk about a lot of political subjects that are somehow, of course, part of my life. And I think it's important to do this kind of things as an artist and as a person. So. Yeah. Okay. You can, and maybe we can talk about this after, if you have, I don't know, something to say, if this brings something in you. And I have to say just one small thing, like there was, but okay, let's hear it, and then I will say it after.
Okay. Let us.
Niels, you are on.
Niels, roll the thing.
Es ist Zeit, den in Bosnien und Herzegowina gestrandeten Menschen zu helfen. Das ist ein Aufruf an die bosnisch-herzegowinische, kroatische und gesamteuropäische Öffentlichkeit. Wir, die Unterzeichnerinnen dieses Aufrufs, wollen unsere Unmut und unsere Bedauern über die verheerende Situation ausdrücken, in der sich Menschen in Lipa bei Bihać, Bosnien-Herzegowina befinden, die seit Monaten in provisorischen Lagern untergebracht sind. Es ist eine menschunwürdige, dramatische Situation. Aktuell harren 700 Geflüchtete in Lipa aus. Die Perspektive tausender weiterer Personen in der Grenzregion ist ungewiss. Wer will, dass die Welt so bleibt, wie sie ist, der will nicht, dass sie bleibt. Die Note dieser Menschen verschlagen uns den Atem. Einige von uns sind auch einmal Kriegsflüchtlinge gewesen. Wir verurteilen den Hass, den jene Politikerinnen und Bürgerinnen verbreiten, die gegen Migrantinnen hetzen. Wir verurteilen die Gewalt, die den Geflüchteten in Kroatien von der Grenzpolizei angetan wird, mit den sogenannten Pushbacks, die gegen kroatisches und europäisches Asylrecht und gegen die Genfer Flüchtlingskonvention verstoßen. Werden die Migrantinnen immer wieder zurück nach Bosnien und Herzegowina getrieben. Wir verurteilen die Zuständige in der EU, die vor den Pushbacks wissen und diese stillschweigend hinnehmen. Wer will, dass die Welt so bleibt, wie sie ist, der will nicht, dass sie bleibt. Nicht nur Gesetze, auch das ganze einfache Gebot der Menschlichkeit verlangt von uns, dass wir uns gegen die menschenunwürdige Behandlung von Migrantinnen in Bosnien-Herzegowina sowie in Kroatien aussprechen. Supin Music, ein bosnischer Überlebender des Lagers Trnopolje, warnt: Die aktuelle Situation der Migrantinnen könnten sich bald von einer Agonie in eine beispiellose Tragödie verwandeln. Deshalb fordern wir all die Menschen, die an die Idee eines demokratischen und vereinten Europas glauben, auf. Emport euch! Mischt euch ein! Die Geflüchteten brauchen dringend sichere und menschwürdige Unterkunft und medizinische Versorgung. Wir fordern das sofortige Ende der Gewalt an der Grenze zur EU sowie das Angestehen europäischer Mitschuld und Verantwortung. Wir fordern das sofortige Ende der Gewalt an der Grenze zur EU sowie das Angestehen europäischer Mitschuld und Verantwortung. Kroatien muss das Völkerrecht achten und das europäische Recht an der Grenze anwenden. Die EU-Grundrechtscharta und die Flüchtlingskonvention verpflichtet die EU zu gerechten Asylverfahren an ihre Außengrenzen. Wir fordern, dass den Gestrandeten auf der Balkanroute dieses Asylverfahren ermöglicht wird. Wir alle, die an Europa und an die Menschlichkeit glauben, müssen jetzt gemeinsam aufstehen und das Schweigen beenden. Wir wehren uns dagegen, dass die Welt so bleibt, wie sie ist.
Okay. Hören wir uns jetzt?
Ja.
Okay, thank you, Paula.
As in here, I'm not applauding, but respect. A very touching
It's really
video.
cool.
Thank you. I know you didn't hear it, so you.
I heard it before.
Yes,
I know how it sounds.
I send you all. Yeah, I just want to say one small thing. There was a different kind of I was sending this to different people, and there was always some kind of critic inside, you know. And even for me, like when I was reading it, I had there was in the letter this small part which is condemning the people, politician, the local politician, and the people who are talking hate to people who are in the move, and I was really, I couldn't say that. I was not this local. I recorded many times, and I couldn't say this local because I know there is a homophobia in Bosnia. I know in the region. I know, but somehow I couldn't say this because I know that there is a bigger problem inside. There is somehow I couldn't. I was thinking about it. I was thinking actually I cannot. I think that the Bosnia is a victim of all this. What Gorana was also saying in this international concept of a politic. these people are somehow victims, and to give this. This is my how I see it a bit. And I couldn't really say this.
I think Gorana has something to say about it.
Yeah, I saw it.
I don't think that people are victims. People are responsible for their actions.
Of course. But
I can't excuse any single hate.
Me neither.
So I mean, the point being that it has to be called out. It's. Yes. I mean, that's why I say I am critical of government. I am critical of hate in Bosnia, but I am also like critical of different power dynamics. And I do not want to blame only one side, or it is about power dynamics. And it is complex. It is hard to, it is explaining Bosnia, it takes forever, but, and it is hard, but I'm not going to kind of say that those who hate are not guilty of. We actually, we lived through hate for 4 or 5 years. That was kind of, it ended in genocide, but we are like, I survived hate. So I'm not agreeing with hate. I just simply can't. So I'm not going to kind of say, oh, they are not guilty. They are guilty. They are individually responsible of their hate. But there is a system and there is a structures, and we need to address structures as well. I'm going now to refer to Black Lives Matters exactly for that reason, because this is one of the movements that is able to address structural racism and to actually explain it well. We, still can't, there are clashes, but it is going globally exactly in order, because it is addressing structural violence, but it also not letting off any individual hate. So, that's something that needs to be recognized as well. That's why I say, okay, let's talk about racism, then we have to, let's recognize that people are racist as well. It's important. Yes. It's important to recognize that, but it is important to see what are the politics navigating that as well. There are those differences. And for me, important is that we need to kind of address structures. That is really, structural violence as well, in order to be able to pass this kind of moment in history of time that we are all stuck. We are stuck globally with a rise of hate, that we are globally with rise of stupidity as well. We have to recognize stupidity, because we are reduced to the tweets. If you actually, I can't be bothered reading anything longer. So it is a problem of stupidity as well. We are, somehow living stupid times. So that is as well. And I just sort of, the question that I kind of, that was from the audience, I kind of forgot to say, no, you can't ignore people that are dying. I did say that, so you are going to act, but you have to not get involved in the non-stop humanitarian aid. There is that difference, because you intervene in this point of time where people are cold, but and people are hungry. But if you actually get engaged in 3 years of that, that's the problem. And that there is this difference between acting humanitarian now, but prolonging that period is highly problematic.
Vivian, you want to say something?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's if this is the right moment. But I'm personally very happy, very honored that we had the chance to, or I personally had the chance to hear that Bosnian political activists and scientists' perspectives more today, because I have to be honest. During my work there, I worked a lot with Bosnian people, of course, but only from the humanitarian aid perspective. And yeah, it's very enriching for me. But there's one voice we didn't hear today, and I'm sure we all know, but we didn't hear the voice of refugees themselves today, not at all. Yeah, that's maybe has several reasons, but for me, it's very important to always stress that point, because we were talking about a lot of things about power dynamics, and yeah, they didn't have the chance today. And I prepared some voices I collected from people I got to know on People on the Move, but I think it's not like, maybe this is not the perfect moment to share it with you. But I want to add a little.
I think it's a really perfect moment to share it if you have something.
Yes, no, it makes up a new, completely new topic, but I'm not sure. But let me advertise first, because for the German audience at least, on the 7th of February, there's going to be a protest in Berlin, where we will explicitly share voices of refugees. Like, we collected several voices and just
wearing masks.
Yes, of course we are wearing masks. Sure, all the safety measures we will provide, of course. Hopefully, like, we found a kind of a collective between several NGOs, like Paula with the AK-49 and SOS Balkanroute, and also Jasmina is being part of it. And we want to do this in several cities. Munich is also going to be one of the cities, and Vienna. This is one part of the political activism I want to push more, and give more stage to the voices of the refugees. And I don't know if this is right now the right point, but I could also, for like people who are interested, I could also share it in another way afterwards. Like, we prepared some clips. I really don't know if this is the right moment right now.
I need to comment on that. We are here at the moment talking politics about our societies. Unfortunately, I guess we couldn't include, and it's important to include as many other voices. We have to be aware not to orientalize and not to kind of as well use the voices and project certain. There is a problem. I mean, it's from experiences of victimhood in Bosnia as well, from being a subject. I always speak in my name and about society I live in, and criticizing my society. I'm not talking in the name of the group of victims. I'm never going to talk about group of victims. Experiences are personal. It is important to acknowledge that, because partially our projections are as well Orientalist, and we have to be aware of that. That's why I'm here at this moment only speaking for myself, criticizing society I live in. And that's the level of the things, and it's about my perceptions. It is, of course, and I am as well living in Bosnia, but I am conditioned with Bosnia being in Europe, in a continent Europe. So that's where I claim my position to talk about Europe as well. Other than that, and when I'm talking globally, I'm talking as a global citizen, but Gorana Mlinarević. I'm not representing, and I cannot represent any group of victims, for example. There is or any group of underprivileged people. We have to recognize that they exist. I mean, it would be great that somebody, and it is probably another suggestion. It's to talk to people that already have passed to the Balkanroute and are now on the safe and able to talk freely to talk. There is a problem of question of how much people can as well talk freely. We do save, and recording, it's a great thing, give them the space, giving the people space. But we have to be, I'm not saying that you are doing that, but I'm just saying that we need to kind of be aware not to abuse that, and not to abuse that trust as well.
Yes, you are completely right. I would not dare to speak for them, but you are completely right. That's something which happens easily, even through good intention is not always.
So Vivian, I just give you an advice. Artistically, maybe it's really not the good point to show this video. I can really confess on.
Yes.
I think there's going, yeah. Just for me as a director and
just
to do what you want. I just in this context, maybe it's.
But it's not the video you are. I think you are thinking of right now, Jasmina. You are thinking of the Über Grenzen video, no? No, it's something else. But never mind. I think it's not the right moment right now to share it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that of course we missed one voice. I of course cannot speak for those people, but just to have it in mind.
Just there is always different identities we are present with, and like in a German society, I can be presented or I am presenting sometimes or a lot some migration identity as well. So even if I maybe look white, I'm not so white, and even if I don't know, maybe do understand the Catholic religion or Christian religion or whatever. If I'm atheist, my name is Islamic. So there is so many different perspectives we can be and take, and sometimes it's a movement which make one or another. But yes, I think it's very important to understand this perspective of Orientalism inside of our society, of course, and this it's very, very important to understand.
Of course, we have to recognize that we are living in a structural racist society.
Yes,
definitely. But for me personally, it's a big challenge to break that down into understandable words for the non-academic, or I don't know, simply for my family. It's hard to break it down sometimes, and it's not that we should not try to, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to say one thing. We talked this evening a lot about the background of Balkanroute and Bosnian and also European society, but I think it's also important to get back on the ground, so to say, maybe about that, what is to come regarding to people who live in Lipa, in those camps. What do you think about that?
So the last what I was hearing, it's yeah, it's actually I don't know. I think it's the Lipa is really just this kind of media attention, which is now very on the loop, and of course it's very like they are now living in the as I said before, they are living in these conditions, which European Council representative says they are okay, they have a basic things, and they are living in really bad conditions. They don't have energy, they don't have electricity, they don't have a water, warm water. It's like for somebody who lives in Munich, who knows how we deal also with the situation of people in the move which are come here. We know from here also these problems which Gorana was talking about the security, which was actually from the right movements who were working in the camps here also in Germany. We know these situations, and this is something which is happening even in Bosnia and even in other places in Greece and everywhere. So it's not of course okay if the question is what is it now, what is going to happen now directly in Lipa, they try the information which I know is that the government of Bosnia wants to build a new camp which will be near to this place where the people are now. So that's the only thing. So it means there will be all the winter in this tents. So this is what I know for information. I don't know, Gorana or someone else wants to say something, or?
I am actually going, I mean, I'm not going to say what's going to happen, because the inhuman degrading treatment is going to continue along the Balkan route, along the Europe as regards to people on the move, and because we are participating, and the crime against humanity against people on the move is happening across Europe. I mean, starting from, we did mention Mediterranean, but starting from kind of the money that EU paid off to Libya and Turkey and all those agreements. So there is a crime against humanity happening against people on the move in Europe. So it's going to continue. But what we need to say is that we are against the camps. We are against the concentration camps. Those are always going to be, once you actually put 1,000 people, 500 people plus into some same space, it's going to be inhumane and degrading treatment. I mean, it simply is. So we cannot talk about it's going to continue. We have to demand that this practice be dismantled across Europe. And I mean, at the moment, this is the easiest way out of all the administration. But as long as we are insisting and showing that this is inhumane and degrading treatment of people, of human fellows, that's another political task. And we simply must not talk as, okay, that's going to continue. No, it's not. We demand that this has to stop.
Yes.
And fulfilling basic needs is never the same like treating someone human. Like, this is a very basic thing we should all agree on, that of course we should satisfy people with the basic needs, of course, but this is not human at all. Human is to respect their desires, wishes, give them future perspectives. I don't know, everything we want. It's the same as us. They are humans. This is actually quite simple, but yeah, it's very we always have to stress that point. Actually, it's a pity.
Yeah, that's the irony in it. You know, that's why when I say this, when this person comes there with the 20,000 euro of his salary, doing nothing, actually, and then says they have a basic needs, this is for me like a Monty Python. You know, like it's like what the fuck you are saying now? Like, well, you know, this is my emotion, and this is like, okay, I'm thinking, okay, how we can see this? It's like.
And
totally,
just to add to that, that person was actually ambassador for Council of Europe in Bosnia before taking up this position. So he's been in Bosnia for some time, so he knows everything, and he should have actually been more like less. I mean, he had better knowledge and could have commented more openly than what he did. So yeah.
Yes.
I'm also interested in. We're talking all the time about LIPA, but what is about, I think altogether are like 9,000 refugees or migrants in Bosnia, and a lot of, I read that there are about 6,000 refugees in the camps around Sarajevo. What is the situation there?
There are two camps. I think one is 1,500 people. I mean, the other one is 4,000. It's a camp that kind of was predicted for 1,500. Now it's housing. It's pushed people. 4,000 people are pushed in there. It's in
containers.
It's not
like a military.
It's a tent. It's a tent in the containers. Or those two camps are actually. It's a former army barracks that were adopted, but it's not adaptation. They brought, instead of adopting, I mean, creating the house, using the buildings, they just brought in containers and then tents. it really is terrible. It's been terrible since it's opened. There is no sufficient food. There is no, I mean, information that we have, there is no hot water. There is, we always keep, I mean, one of the camps has families in there. Families do not have diapers with small children. It's a 1 diaper per day. So you can imagine that was the recent information. No nutritious food. So images that we were receiving from both camps are really awful. Violence by security. There was a recently there was kind of there were some clashes in a camp, because imagine 4,000 people living in camps. So there were clashes, and they were like that. They resulted with clashes with the police. So now police is threatening with more violence as well, of course. So and they are threatening with barbed wires, and they are going to put people behind the barbed wires, and they're going to use video surveillance and something else. So I mean, there is an increase in like violence. Then you kind of get some clashes, then you get more increase in violence. So it's the securitization through militarization. No one's understanding security here through the human security paradigm, but it's full on militarized. We had 2 days ago, head of IOM meeting with the local police, and they were kind of threatening that they are going to get tougher stance. In addition to that, we have people on the streets. Around 3,000 people are sleeping on the streets. We do get reports of police violence against those people as well. So it is because we had previously, several years ago, we didn't get any reports of police violence, but now we are getting increased reporting of police violence, brutal police violence against people who are in Bosnia. But that's like what happens when you have unpunished violence on the borders. So it's an encouraged violence. So it is the conditions are getting worse, because politics of pushbacks, politics of, let us be clear. All that is happening is against the European Convention for Human Rights. Every country in this region plus European Union are signatories to European Convention for Human Rights. All of our countries are actually violating the convention. And by violating convention, they are increase. I mean, the problem is because they are not punished for that, so they just easily increase the violence, and violence is being constantly increased. The politics of Fortress Europe are becoming more and more violent. We can talk Frontex, we can talk European Commission. That is, for example, I think Vivian was talking about not understanding how to do the politics. Well, just simply follow the money. Croatian police, border police uses the violence, then the EU Commission sends them the money, they buy the dogs. So you tomorrow read about the attacks by dogs. I mean, you can actually really follow the money. And instead of, for example, I think that there was an article in Guardian where it was actually published that European Commission, after kind of claims of the border police violence in Croatia, gave additional money to the border police in Croatia to further militarize. So, I mean, it is about, and it's the same with, I mean, the problem that we are facing is that there is a refusal by IOM to actually publish the report. So they kind of say that they spend 75% of the money onto the humanitarian aid, but then you actually see that from these 75%, it's the payout to the security forces, it's a payout to the police, some form of or the other, for the barbed wires and so on. So the conditions are bad, but conditions are going to be even worse, because there is no one's calling for responsibility and accountability. There is no accountability, and that's a bigger problem. And even though we are all signatories to Rome Statute, for example. We all obliged ourselves, I mean, talking in the countries, all European countries oblige themselves not to commit crimes against humanity, and all of them are participating now. So unless we are actually calling for accountability and push for accountability for those crimes to stop, the situation is going to be even worse and more violent.
Yes. Well, it's so hard to hear all of these things, and it's like you are you know, when you are talking, Goran, I'm just like thinking, okay, we have to do something. It's and you know, it's in my head I have it's going all bad things I get from the war, and then knowing the AfD in Germany, and then getting the Trump elected, and all this, which is yeah, the following the money. I would like to thank you all, really, and I hope we stay in touch and we do things. I would like we maybe just everybody say the last word. I would like to invite you also, and to say to people who was watching or still are watching, to if you some informations, actions like the Vivian was saying, which happening now in Berlin on 7th of February, I think it's and after in Munich. If you can send all the informations, we can put it also in this YouTube video that will stay on the net, and we will also use our connections and our networks to spread it. And yes, and we will do our work and our artistic work. From my side, I will do it anyway. Thank you very much, and I will give you a word of closing up, and Daniel also will close up, I think. Or
yeah, I think after 2 hours we we said a lot about the background. I think we maybe we also should have talked about more the present situation of the people who live in those tents under those extreme conditions. But I think we covered the whole situation as we could at the moment. And I just said thank you for participating in this talk, and hope to see you again in live or online. And you know, struggling for our thing, you know.
so, Yasmina, you were talking not so much. Maybe you can.
Again, it's overwhelming. Thank you. I mean, I really wrote some notes about what Gorana said. So thank you for sharing your information, for everyone who's sharing your thoughts. We really have to reflect. Even you mentioned something about repetition of refugees and using them and abusing them. It's a very hard topic. And even in my work, it's very important not to do this and not to repeat it. And actually I got a call today that I'm going to have money to make a video and a performance. And actually I'm really want to use this money to make the performance about refugees. And so I'm really in this struggle again, how to find a strategy not to abuse people. So it's very important to really be responsible and to be very clever and not to abuse people. So I can just say thank you for this talk, and stay critical.
Okay, Paula.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. Thank you again for the invitation. And as Yasmina said, there were like, whenever different people from different backgrounds come together, I think it's great to listen to them. And I've learned a lot, and like reflecting upon activities and on your work is like an ongoing process. And as you said, Asmir, or also we sometimes like it's so overwhelming, and it's so frustrating, and overthinking everything is sometimes for me like feels feels horrible. And but what I want to stress right now in the end is that I feel like it's not an option to freeze like an activity, also for our the listeners, I don't know, but there's always something that you can do. Just check out your local initiatives in your city, or get active yourself, make a demonstration, or find people that think in a similar way, and try to do some actions and put awareness on things that you care about, and you injustices. So yeah, maybe it's a nice ending to mention the political actions again that we are planning with different cities. And one city is, for example, also Munich, and then Berlin and Vienna, and maybe we can find some other cities that want to participate. So it's like an action with many different cities in Europe, and so people come together that want to do actions on that.
Yes.
I will give you the information, Asmia, about Munich.
Yes, please. And I have to share something with you. Maybe the next Mingra talks we will do on 17th of March. It will be with the one project which is starting now in Kammerspiele. It's called Habibi Cafe. It's made from Tuncay Achar. And we will probably also go to this topic, because we will have this actions which are happening in February and in March. So we will try to talk about it in this kind of way. I will give you informations, and I will be happy if you have a contribution if you contribute. I mean, all of you. Vivian, please.
Thank you also for this very intense discussion. I always enjoy it very much when there is enough room to have those open discussions, and also to have emotional discussions, because most of the time, if you are working with the conventional media, you have like 2 minutes and you try to put every important information in 2 minutes. I definitely learned a lot, and like what I would like to say is that complexity, like, because this is all very complex, and I can imagine that for people who, like, maybe today was the first time that they even got in touch with the whole issue. They must feel completely overwhelmed. Complexity doesn't mean that it's complicated. It means that it's complex. We have some instruments and we have some possibilities to tackle complex issues. It's not that we can do that. That's like I want to end a little bit optimistic. And
yes.
Yes. Thank you all.
Yeah, and I think it's also nice. We're all in a way involved with Balkans, coming from there, or interested in Balkans, but for a lot of people it's like, I don't even know what Balkans is, or a Balkans route, so to say. So I think it's important to speak about it, and to be involved in one way or another, and to spread that thing. So thank you being involved.
Thank you.
Maybe Gordana, you want to say?
We can stay a bit because they will just.
Gordana's missing. Didn't she say goodbye yet?
Yeah, I want to say, Gordana, maybe you want to say a thing.
Sorry. Oh, because No,
don't worry, it's fine.
Because I was thinking.
It's Gordana.
Gordana, sorry, ja sam mislio da si ti bila prva.
It's not
Svijen, izgubio
the
sam.
problem. It's not a problem.
I'm lost. Sorry. I'm sorry, but we are still there. I mean.
Are we still there? No.
I don't think we are on the stream, but you can
it's okay.
share
Anyway,
with us.
I mean, there is nothing. It's just really what all that I said. Anyway, just say it political, and that's about it.
We are still on.
You are still on. You can say.
Okay. All right. So I mean, if we are still on.
Sorry again.
So I'm forced to actually say something now.
Yes, you have to say. Sorry.
Well, I mean, the point being that everything that is happening, I see kind of interconnected, and nothing. I mean, we are in the global historical phase that we need to tackle jointly. There is no one issue, like one issue disconnected from the other. So it is about climate. It is about equality, or actually addressing inequality. It is about social justice, economic and we need to be aware of that, and we need to kind of be ready to fight. I mean, fight meaning long struggles. It's gonna take forever, but in the end of the day, if we all stop, this is just like, I mean, it's a definite that the way how we have been, have consumerism that we have been kind of used to is going to be replaced with something else. And it's militarization of the borders. Whoever thinks it's just against people on the move is really, really wrong, because all that militarized weaponry, all that police is going to be used against us. You see that already in France, quite literally police violence on the streets every day. So if you really think it's gonna pass you, no, it's not. So sorry that I'm actually pessimistic, but it is only way to actually say that we have to fight. And we have to get engaged politically, and not just human. I mean, we cannot pay off. We cannot pay off our kind of. We cannot be human just paying off 15 euros and then just forgetting about it. It's not a good. I mean, yeah, it can be a good deed. I'm not against it, but that's not even half of political engagement. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we stay in touch. I love you all. I really mean it. Ciao.
Bye bye. Have a good night.
Ciao, ne daj se, ciao.
Da, i vi isto.
Da, onaj.
Bye.
You can stay a bit if you want, but it's okay.
Azmir, jesi mu ja sada izviniti, mislim, meni je tu izvinio, nisam uopšte
Mingratalks.
Čekaj, ne znam. Deni, jesmo još tamo, ili smo na streamu?
Es ist Zeit, den in Bosnien und Herzegowina gestrandeten Menschen zu helfen. Das ist ein Aufruf an die bosnisch-herzegowinische, kroatische und gesamte europäische Öffentlichkeit.
Jesmo na streamu, nismo?